like how you came from, it's quite a small place in Poland that you grew up in, to how you managed to take the
system back on.
There's been time where I was working 12 to 14-hour days, 7 days a week, working 2 or 3 different jobs sometimes, just to pay for another hour of flying and another flying lesson. And yeah, it's been worth it.
Welcome back to Motorfest, the podcast. My name is Becky Evans, and this is a podcast brought to you by Red Bull and Ubisoft's iconic game, the Crew Motorfest. Now, in this podcast, I get to talk to motorsport athletes about their passions, all things speed, wings, and wheels. And you know what the really cool thing is? You can actually listen to this podcast whilst you're playing the game. So grab one of your dream vehicles, jump in, strap in, because you're about to hear from the athletes that actually get to drive these in the real world. Let's get the show started. Now, today we've got a very, very special guest. We're going to be chatting to Luke Chapella. Luke is a multi-award-winning Red Bull Air Race winner, known for his precision, skill, and fearless flying. From winning the Challenger Cup to landing a plane on a helipad in Dubai, Luke is committed to pushing the boundaries of flying. Luke, we're delighted to have you here today.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I'm just going to jump straight into it. I am terrified of flying, so when I knew I was going to be chatting to you, I was thinking this guy is going to have to tell me everything that gets him up in the morning and says, you know what, I'm going to do a loop in a plane.
Flying in aerobatics gives you such a freedom. It's not every day that you can fly aircraft upside down, or you can fly it in reverse, like at 60 kilometers per hour. All the G-forces that we experience, it's something that you cannot experience on the ground. That's why I'm so happy to share it with other people, give them the taste of the freedom that we get, and spread the joy of flying.
Now, I come from a drifting background, and I was around cars from a very, very young age. And it was actually my dad who sort of ignited that in me, because I remember seeing him playing with his race car in the garage. It was the same kind of for you, wasn't it? You went to an air show when you were a very small boy, and then that was it. You were hooked.
Yeah, absolutely. My spark ignited when I was 6 years old. My dad took me to the air show in Poland. And it's just been amazing. I was watching a aerobatic display and the aircraft was doing a tail slide. It's a figure where you go vertically up and it seems like you're shutting down the engine and the aircraft starts to slide back on its tail. And I saw it as a 6-year-old kid and I was like, Dad, I'm gonna do it in the future. And many 6-year-old kids have different dreams every week. Sometimes you want to be a policeman, the week after you want to be a fireman. But for me, it has never changed. I've been flying now for 26 years and I still love it.
That's absolutely crazy that you just picked your direction and just stuck with it. I mean, your first flight lesson, you were 14 years old, and then by 16, you'd got your license. So there was definitely method in your madness. This was all moving towards where you are today.
Yeah, absolutely. I was so motivated. Like from this air show, I started playing with aircraft models, pre-flying models, and then I just went to the airport and I became what's known as a hangar rat, cleaning the airplanes for everyone. And in exchange, that they would take me for a flight and usually let me fly the aircraft, give me the first lessons. By the time I went solo at 16, I was over the moon. It's been a lot of hard work, but so rewarding as well.
Luke, we were just saying to you just then, flying was always going to be what you were going to do. And I'm going to give you a question, which I almost feel like I know what the answer is already. If you could be a car, a plane, a boat, or a motorbike, which would you be and why?
Yeah, of course I'd go for a plane, but this is what my life is all about. It's always been about flying. I have 13,500 hours in the year. That's like 4 years of my life. 10% of my life has been spent in the air. So I just want to be a better pilot with every flight I take.
I'd love to know more about the bullseye stunt. I mean, we saw and heard it at the beginning of the episode. Personally, for me, I remember seeing that and I watched the video and I had a heart attack and was like, oh my God, obviously I know that this guy made this happen because everyone's celebrating it, but I couldn't cope with it.
I almost had a heart attack on the first one as well. It was incredibly difficult project that we did. Landing a plane in such a short distance, it's not something very unusual for this kind of aircraft, but landing the plane on a small helipad that is 600 feet in the air, 200 meters above sea level, that hasn't been done before, and it comes with a lot of difficulties. One of those difficulties is the shape of the building created very special wind vortices, like a little tornadoes coming off the building, hitting the helipad, and these tornadoes wanted to suck in my aircraft and throw it towards the building. And that's what happened on the first two attempts when the winds were quite strong. So usually if you try to land short, you want a lot of wind because the wind will assist you, but not on a helipad. On a helipad, the less wind we had was easier to fly with the plane. So all in all, it took me like 650 practice landings before I went for the actual landing on the helipad, and the first two attempts on the helipad on a windy day, they were not very successful, and then we had to reset and try again the day after, so that was quite challenging.
I feel like the stakes are quite high, especially when you're doing something like that as well. Not only are you on like the Red Bull World stage creating a moment in history, there's the practical element of it as well, of trying to land this thing on a really tall building.
Yeah, so for me, being the best pilot I can be, it's the most rewarding. I'm not doing any of this for fame or money or whatever. I'm just doing it to show that I'm good, and I always want to be the best I can be. And I think we proved with this project that was one of the toughest things I ever did with the plane, and now we can see how successful the project was. We have like way over 1 billion views on the videos all over the platforms. So.
That's brilliant. I mean, it's unbelievable. Now, for you guys that are listening at home, air sport, the sky is literally the limit with this. Aerobatics is a bit like acrobatics, except you're flying an aircraft. There's a lot of other things to consider though when you are flying. There's obviously safety, speed, weather. Luke, can you give us a rundown of like the 3 main things that you have to be watching out for when you attempt to do some aerobatics in the sky?
Yeah, I think first will be the weather. All our aircraft don't have very sophisticated instruments, so we have to fly what's known as VFR condition, visual flying rules. We always have to see the ground. We have to stay outside of the clouds, and the winds play a big factor. Then, of course, is the technical standard of the aircraft. We always try to make sure that the aircraft is airworthy. Having an engine failure approaching a helipad so close to the building or flying upside down 2 meters above the runway, it's an extreme sport. So second, for sure, would be the technical side, and I think the third, but as equal as the other two, would be, of course, pilot fitness, and we want to make sure I'm rested, I'm in a good physical condition. The G-forces is something that we fight with a lot. We fly from -8 Gs to +10. What it means, I can get up to 10 times heavier, like weighing 80 kilos. I have 800 kilos of force hitting my body. The blood is 10 times heavier, and it drains away from the brain, goes towards my legs. And you can faint and you can lose your consciousness, and that can be, of course, very dangerous when you're close to the ground flying at 400 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, that does sound pretty crazy. I've seen some of the videos, when they put passengers in the plane. That's why I'm frightened, Luke. When you said I can go in the plane, I'd be like, I'd pass out. I'd be rubbish. You'd be looking back, and I'd just be asleep in the back seat. Terrible. Luke, help us understand a little bit more about the specifics of your job. I mean, because what people need to know is obviously you compete in Red Bull Air Race as well, and that is a competition. So what